Good morning, everybody, everywhere. I'm James T with WHQT Hot 105 in Miami, and this is Understanding Money Part 2. Today we have a loaded show. We have a special guest, Rob, that I've interviewed this lovely lady multiple times, and particularly during the pandemic, because there was so much information that we needed to give our people to our listeners. And when I say our people, it is our listeners and our listening audience, our viewing audience. We wanted to give them the knowledge, the understanding about where help was. So stand by, everybody, for our special guest. And so that I don't get into a long dissertation beforehand, I want to welcome you, and I want to tell you, if you did not get a chance to listen to Understanding Money Part 1 this morning, please share that. Go back. If you didn't check it out, go back, listen, and share. If you were a listener or viewer, please share, because we really need this information to get out. Robert, you and Linda did an excellent job this morning. I saw people hitting ones all over the place with the information that you were giving to people, that they would be able to give to others, so that we can really lift ourselves up and stop begging people to do for us what we can be doing for ourselves. So, hey.
Anything in particular stand out that has caught your attention that was said?
Oh,
Anything?
Robert, the fact is, people don't understand that with money, yes, you're going to have challenges.
Yeah.
Most people think that the answer is money. Rob, we know that the answer to living that life, that abundant life that we have been promised and we have an opportunity to have, it's not about money. Success is not, hey, when you get money, because you must be successful so that money can come. So we have to think about and plan for what it is that we want to do. My study this morning, and I didn't want to deal with this until later, but since you done brought that up, is learning how to be persistent. So often we get information and we're not persistent. We don't have a purpose, backed up by that desire, and for it to be the desire to be the fulfillment, so that that purpose can be fulfilled. So a lot of us are just, we haven't gotten there yet. And here's the whole thing. And when I bring on our guest, this is what I want her to speak to, by the way. And that is, many of us suffer from fear, Rob. It's the fear of stepping out, and also the fear of criticism, because
Yeah.
we truly do believe if I go out and open my business and have to close my doors, we say that we failed. No, 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 because you've learned some things that you need to learn to get to the next level.
You got to be
So
persistent.
yeah,
That's
you
right.
got, yeah, right. So you get, and then when you guys hit on the IULs and you told them, hey, everything is not the same, because we all know that as soon as you get something good, I don't care what it is, someone is going to come, even if they can't make what you created, they're going to put it on the label that it's just like yours, but it's cheaper.
Yeah. That's right.
Or it's better.
That's right.
you know,
That's right.
somebody's gonna duplicate that pill that you paying. Oh no, I know you can get this, you can get that, and it's just like it. Oh no, wait a minute, is it really just like it? So we have to wake up. And and
Yeah.
and when you started the show this morning, you said you could not think of anything where money was not involved.
I couldn't. I mean, that's why we call the show Understanding Money. It's all about the money. I cannot think of anything that money, you know, education, religion, marriage, you know, business. I can't think. You know, sports. Sports is about money. You know what I mean? I mean, we cheering and everything, but it's a lot of betting going on. Somebody won, somebody lost in Las Vegas. The spreads. I mean, it's a lot of.
Okay, Rob, you wait, and please guess. She's in the. I'm sure she's backstage waiting.
Yeah, I
Please
can see
give
her.
us a moment. Please
Yeah,
give us
I
just a
can.
moment. Robert, would you speak to that? Because I've had conversations. I can't tell you how many people have called me doing this draft this weekend. I mean, there were people who called me from Las Vegas. There were
Yeah,
people who text me from Las Vegas. This morning, there were people texting me at the airport, leaving the airport, having been in Las Vegas. But when I
Yeah.
saw these young men, many of them, not all of them, but all of our discussions basically was about, do these guys that are being drafted into the NFL, do they really understand money?
No.
Because they look, so speak to that, please. And then we're going to
Well,
bring our guest in.
it's very telling. It's very telling when you look at the NFL draft and you look at a lot of these guys and they look like Mr. T, the old Mr. T, when they have all this ice, bling, bling, and all this special suits and just all that stuff. And you know, a lot of them, they look like they're babies. They don't know the difference between a IUL or a Roth. They don't really don't understand financial literacy. Most of them don't. You know, they just don't. They're babies, and their main thing is for they're looking at playing football and how much money that they can make and spend. It's not like they want to build. Most of them just want to show out because it's so bad that the talent is there, but the understanding is not there, the wisdom is not there. And when I look at that, it reminds me of, 50 years ago, man. They were doing this 50 years ago. And every year, it seemed like it's getting worse because the next set of players are copying and conforming to this set of players, and they just putting on more earrings and more gold and more chain and just more stuff. It speaks volumes because the parents are young and the parents looking at it as a meal ticket. But when you in especially the NFL, that's one of the toughest sports on the planet, man. These guys are big and strong. They run in 100 miles an hour, crashing into each other, with concussions and everything. They are making money. All of them don't make money. Some of them, the top ones. But then again, what do you do with the money? Because they don't have a whole lifespan. They're not going to be playing for 15, 20 years, and they still young. When you in your 20s and you're not going to play football for 20 years, even if you was able to pay for 20 years, you'll still be 40 in your young 40s. You really have to be smart and have someone to educate you, not just manage your money, but educate you about money, how it works, how to keep it, how to make it grow, and how to use it. And they don't
They
get
don't
that.
know. Right.
They don't know. And no, the people who they rely on know they don't know that
Hmm. And take
because
advantage of them.
and take total advantage of. And it's a sad sighting that you see it year after year after year.
Robert,
And
Robert, it reminded me, and I have to say this, and we're going to go to our guest. It reminded me, Robert, of when we were on the block to be sold. They
yeah,
parade
slave
you up
trade.
in front of you,
Yeah, slave trade.
yeah. Oh, come on, Rob. I mean, and I applaud those people who didn't even those families or those young men who chose not to go to Vegas because and I know it's a business and all of that, and hey, it's all about the money. So when you're there and the excitement, but you're not earning from the excitement that you're creating. When are we going to get to it that we don't go and just perform for others? When are we going to start performing for ourselves? When are we going to be astute enough to say, it's important for me to OWN, and that's not the Oprah Winfrey Network. That's to own. Well,
Oh,
what am I doing to create something that I own?
right.
Are they going to pay me for my likeness? Are they going to pay me for appearing there? Oh no, hey, you're there and other people are there screaming, and hey, of course, oh, Vegas loves it because before you leave there, you're going to put something in those slot machines or on that crap table or somewhere. You're going to leave money somewhere. You're going to have the rooms. Who's paying for that? The food? Who's paying for that? So we're so quick to make other people wealthy, and we take forever to think about when am I going to do something for myself. But anyway,
Yeah.
hey, so let's hold that because we're going to have to bring our friend Bobby Butler or some of the other athletes that we know that can speak to our young people and to our parents, our young parents, and to our old parents, the grandparents. Speak to me
Yes,
and you and tell
yes.
us some of the stories that we need to know for our young people. So that's for another day. But today we have a very special guest, and I'm really excited about having her with us. And I want to thank her for being patient to come in. I wanted to get that out. But Robert, during this pandemic, we have had some difficult times in our family, sometimes personally. And I just thought that we should bring in someone who could speak to us about the depression that we may go through, or anxiety that we may go through, so that we can help ourselves to help others. So you can bring our guest on, and I'm gonna let her introduce herself, because this lovely lady, Dr. Hall, how are you? Good morning. Thank you so much,
Blessings. It's so good
and
to see you,
welcome.
James T.
Yes, yes. And I want Mr. Henderson to introduce himself
Okay.
so that you can meet him. And then I'm going to let you introduce yourself. And then we're going to get into a conversation. Robert,
Yes, I'm Robert Henderson Jr. I'm a certified financial planner. I'm a certified tax coach, stockbroker, insurance broker, real estate broker. We've been practicing for 37 years. I'm the president, founder of the Henderson Financial Group, located here in Miami Lakes, Florida. We have clients all over the country and out of the country. We love what we do. We break it down to you like a 6 year old. Our motto is, we bring your future into the present so we can work on it now.
Mhm.
and Dr. Hall, introduce yourself to our viewing audience and to
I
Mr.
like that.
Henderson, please.
So bringing the future to the present. With that being said, I'm going to invite the ancestors in the room and pay
Uh,
homage to them.
okay.
I'm Dr. Pamela D. Hall. I am an associate professor of psychology here at Barry University, and I'm the director of Africana Studies program. I am also an associate dean of the College of Arts and Sciences at Barry. But I'm a Virginia native. I have four sisters and two brothers. One is deceased. And I'm just excited about where we are in our evolution as Black people. Just got to do a couple shout outs as we
Sure.
move into this conversation. I'm also, and James T. met, like you said, he brought me in because of my affiliation with the South Florida chapter of the Association of Black Psychologists. And so we did do a lot of stuff during the pandemic, though it's not over. Actually, during the syndemic, which is two or more pandemics, racial injustice and violence was going on during COVID. So that was one pandemic that has not ended for us in this country since we've been kidnapped. And then the COVID pandemic. So that's how we met, through the Association of Black Psychologists. And during the pandemic, our national chapter actually was brought into a research project from the Congressional Black Caucus, who funded some of it, and from the National Urban League, that also helped to get funders to do a needs assessment on COVID-19 and its impact on the Black community. So some of the information that I'm going to share with you is going to come from that, and then some of it is just going to come from spirit as we go through this conversation and the work that I've done throughout my life.
Fantastic. Well,
And
we're happy to have you. And yes, we want to say to our viewers, as you check in, to communicate with us, or to watch, we love to have your comments. And if you have any questions, because when Robert and I was talking about this, and our programming has always been about serving and giving, we know that that's how we're blessed. We're
Mhm.
blessed abundantly because we're willing to serve and to give. And we wanted someone with the expertise of helping our people. I had just this week um, a family friend speak of a niece that took her life. I mean, our young people, believe it or not, folks, our young people are struggling during these times. And when Robert and I spoke about this, I said, man, we want to have someone come in that can help us to share with others what is available to them. And how can we determine when a person needs help? Because so often, particularly in the Black community, we know that it's almost shameful to so many to say that I'm going to get help. What do you mean you're going to get help? Where are you going to get help? Well, I think I need. Well, no, why don't you talk to the pastor? Okay, I can talk to the pastor, but I also want to talk to a professional who can speak to me, that I can share with, that I can give information, that I can let them know where I stand. And I do believe that most of us, if not all of us, know someone that has been either dealing with depression, dealing with anxiety, as Linda and Robert was talking this morning about worration, people worrying about this, worrying about that. We all, and we have to realize that sometimes we cannot do it alone. So, Dr. Pamela, if you would start off, could you help us to help others and to help ourselves to get rid of this myth that it's shameful to reach out for a psychologist?
Yes, I'll do my best, but it's but it's a lot of nuances that you brought up. And as I was listening to you two have the conversation before I came in, I think you said it's nothing that we do was not involved, that money doesn't involve. And I thought about that, and it made me say, I think I got an answer. I think the one thing that money doesn't involve is spirit.
Okay.
Spirit and spirituality.
That's true.
That's something that dwells within all of us,
Yes.
right? And you don't have to pay for that. You have to actually nurture that. And my perspective, which is a perspective from the Pan-African lens, is that we have to nurture our spirit and recognize that we're living out someone else's fantasy. This is not, we're living, I guess, in an unnatural order, right? I'm gonna share a quote with you as I answer these questions.
Sure, no problem. Go right ahead. Feel free. Be you. We have this program. We want you just to be who you are.
Give thanks. I've been thinking about this. My students did presentations, and I have them do presentations in my Black psychology class on who I consider Black psychologists and Black psychiatrists who paved the way, who started the Association of Black Psychologists in 1968. And I thought about Professor Wade. You know, we call him Baba Wade Nobles. He's been initiated. So Baba Wade has a quote, and it says that power is the ability to define reality, to have others respond to your definition as if it were its own. I'm going to say that one more time. Power is the ability to define reality, to have others respond to that definition as if it were their own. That's what we're dealing with. That's what we're living with. Somebody else's definition of power. And that power oftentimes lacks spirit.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Doctor, when you said that and the way you put it, and I'm glad you said it twice because you wanted it to go inside of the consciousness of the people. And I'm glad you repeated it twice. Now, it's amazing how the way you said it. Can you say it one more time? Because I'm going to say something.
Power is the ability to define reality and have others respond to your definition as if it were their own.
Arbitrage, all right.
Okay, now I'm gonna say it a different way.
Yes.
But it's the same thing. Genius is being able to make other people do what you want them to do, at the same time making them think that it was their will to do it. Genius.
Oh, mm-hmm.
Genius is making people do what you want them to do at the same time, that person thinking it was their own idea.
Yeah. I had a gentleman tell me that that's a very, and I love the word genius. You know, it's not the word that I would use to describe people who would want you to believe it. You know what I'm saying?
I would use manipulation too.
I would call it morally. I would call it morally corrupt.
Totally.
I would say the lack of spiritual guidance.
Imposter.
Like, for everything that you do, spirit should come first.
Yeah.
In this world, once we were kidnapped during the Ma'afa, which is African name for the African Holocaust, when we were kidnapped, everything was flipped. So now for us, the opposite is true. Everything we're doing is the opposite of what we should be doing. We don't have to chase any money. We don't have to chase anything if we tapped into spirit. See, that's what was crushed. That was what was taken. Our language, our culture stolen, right? So that we would like have amnesia and not remember that if we let spirit be our guide, if we listen to spirit, if we listen to the voice of our ancestors, they will guide us to prosperity, to abundance. We've always had it. We come from abundance.
Well, you
we
speaking
created
James, you speaking hey James, you speaking our language, right?
That's why I wanted her to say it, because we say it so much, Robert. When she mentioned the quote that she had, you know, I knew that you were going to say, well, yeah, and we could all say Robert has said pretty much the same thing, and we deal with spirituality here,
Right.
Dr. Pamela. Oftentimes
Right.
we get sort of slapped on the wrist for using quotes as well, and we're not talking religion, we're talking truth.
Right. We're talking spirit. We're talking psychology. If we're gonna bring in a little bit of what you mentioned, I send my condolences to the family, to all the families who have lost young people because of suicide, and who've lost people during this COVID pandemic. You know, during COVID, these pandemics, there's multiple pandemics that's going on. We've lost so much, and we haven't had the proper way to grieve, or even to talk to our children about grief. But from a Pan-African psychological perspective, because where I come from is the uniting of the whole African Union. You know, all of us in the diaspora, right? We in some way, shape, or form are connected to the continent, but what we have to remember is that if you look at the word psychology, right, and you break it down into psyche and logos, right? Psyche means what? Spirit, breath, life, right? So if I'm talking about psychology and logos is the study of, I'm talking about the study of the spirit. And that's what we as Africans from the diaspora have to do is really understand what it really means to be spiritual beings having this physical experience.
Right? What force do you think is trying to keep a lid on that truth? What are we dealing with?
Well, we if we're going to look on a physical level, we're going to say that we're dealing with people who lack an understanding of who we are. And actually, you all were talking about fear, who fear us and our power, us understanding who we are and our true power. And that power is related to our being melanated people.
Absolutely.
See, when we talk about melanin, we're not just talking about what gives us our skin color. We're talking about a vibration. We're talking about if you walk in the room and the people can feel your vibration, you're the only dark person, melanated person in that, though we all have it, but it's some of us get higher levels or higher amounts, right? So when that's a vibration. You walk into a room and you make people tremble. You talking about we live in fear. Yes, we've been indoctrinated with fear, but that vibration we bring make people shudder. And that's the fear. It's really that fear that exists. But on a spiritual, metaphysical level, you could really talk about their forces of good and evil. You know, spiritual warfare in
Uh,
high places, right?
evil does exist, doctor. I
Yeah,
tell people all the time, we've got to recognize evil does exist.
yes, yeah. You can call it whatever you want to call it. You can call it the devil. You can call it negative energy, whatever you
Hey,
want. All of it means the same. That's something that
Yeah,
lacks spirit. When we're
yeah,
talking about a force that lacks spirit, whatever that force is, then it is gonna bring this point in our time and history to light, where we're seeing our young people dying from suicide. We're seeing an uptick in the study that was done, a national study that was done by the Association of Black Psychology, found a large increase in both depression and anxiety. And what's interesting is that what you were talking about is there's a stigma that Black folk have about receiving mental wellness support. Our perspective is wellness and empowerment from the Association of Black Psychology. Wellness and empowerment. And so people don't recognize, if they come to one of us from the Association of Black Psychologists, we want to create wellness in them, in our family, in the community, because that's going to spread throughout the whole African diaspora. So that's what we have to find a way to let people know, that we're not mimicking a model that doesn't work for us. We have created a model for Blacks from the diaspora that works for us, that focuses on wellness. So we just have to continue to let them know who we are, and that it's okay to come and ask an expert who is culturally sensitive to who you are, and oftentimes share your background. And it's okay to say, I need help for me and my family.
yes, yes. I was going to say, because so often we turn to other substances that,
Ooh,
oh, because we want to deaden that pain, or we want to remove ourselves, even if only for moments, from where we think we are, because it does deal with our consciousness and our subconsciousness, and as you said, our spirit. And we must
mm,
recognize we become what we think about. And when we cannot get to the point of controlling our thoughts,
right.
we're lost. We are lost. And
Yeah.
that's something that just doesn't come with snap. It has to be practiced. Robin and I was talking about, before we came on, about persistence.
Yeah.
We really do not know how. There is no quick fix to this, because
Mm,
I believe that this journey that we're taking
right.
is a journey with a purpose, and we don't seek that. We just seek to live based on, going back to your quote,
Yeah.
based on what somebody else said living is to be, and we
Right.
believe that that's what living is.
and
Yeah.
that's
I'm
That's
gonna stop.
media.
existing. That's
I'm
That's
gonna
existing.
stop.
media.
That ain't living. This ain't living, baby.
Yeah, and
You know?
Oh,
that's the media. You know, in the earlier show, when Linda said, Rob, she said she was worried about the three richest men in the country controlling the media and having so much influence. And she asked me, was I worried? And I said, I'm focused. You know, doctor, what you're saying is so powerful and so true, because James and I, we have this gift of discernment. So
Mm,
we feel you, we see you, we understand. And my thought is, what you're doing, and the truth is so pure and natural and of the Father and Spirit. The attacks, the cover up, to keep you silent, to keep this information uh, drowned out with all the noise and the chatter, to keep people, especially people of color who's so powerful, confused. I'm thinking about the avenues to be heard, because the education in America does not lend itself to the truth for people like us. It just doesn't. So where do we go? I know it starts with one person, we start, but I'm thinking about, man, it'd be so great if your truth was being spilled out in the churches. You know, just
You in my head. You in my head. You just, I was thinking about just as you were saying that, and James was saying that a lot of people go to the churches, and they're like, oh, just pray about it. Yeah, pray about it. But we know that God doesn't do anything for us that we can't do for ourselves. So we can
absolutely.
pray and pray. I'm praying for a solution, and the solution might be the Association of Black Psychologists. Reach out to us, right? Because we're doing some amazing work, and the work is happening. But that, I think back to like James Cone, Reverend James Cone with Liberation Theology back in the day, and how y'all know we grew up in the church, and the church was the pillar of the community, right? That's where, I mean, it was like the community centers that they have today, the Boys and
Right,
Girls Clubs and that stuff like
right,
that. The
right.
church was where it was all going on.
Oh
If
yeah.
we were hungry, we really were fed. If we needed tutoring, right? If we needed support, any type of support, we did that. It would be awesome if the church would understand that many of us in the association are not just spiritual, we are also religious. We also have faith and believe in the Most High. And if they would just open our doors, and we can form more partnerships, because we are doing some work, because when I say the national, I should say the International Association of Black Psychologists, though that's not the name, but we're in Africa, we're in Haiti, we're in England, we're in Jamaica, so we're in the Caribbean, and so we're doing a work all over. But we do need to strengthen our partnership with the church to break that stigma, let them know that a lot of the things they're saying, we're saying, we've just been trained to create a model that's going to be effective for Black people, that's going to empower us to get past that fear. And like you say, to keep the dollar in our community for a while, to OWN, not the Oprah Winfrey Network, to
Stop,
own, right?
stop, Pastor. I mean, I'm bad. I'm calling you.
Is that the gift of discernment? Is that the Brother Henderson?
No. Hey, because I've had people, members of my church, used to tell me, James T, you fighting the pulpit. I said, no, I'm not fighting the pulpit. Oh, you gonna be in that pulpit? And I said, yes, introducing the pastor. But I know, because I know that I can use the gift that God has given, and that's what Rob and I do. I can use it, to lead them to Dr. Pamela, to their pastor, and to say that there are people waiting out there that are willing to help you and can help you, and it doesn't come to that medicating with a pill or that or whatever else.
Let's go back to coping, because you're right. Those are some of the findings that came out too. We do have to address positive coping versus negative coping, right? Positive coping is going to the church, getting spiritual advice, getting mental health support, having somebody that you can talk to about those worries. Sometimes you don't want to. I'm not here. Listen, I'm calling you because I just need a listening ear. I don't need no answers. I don't need no judgment. I just need someone to listen to get this out of me, get this burden off of me. And so people that, we did some positive coping during the pandemic, but we know that people, when you went to college, they say after the first year, I think it's the freshman 15 or something. Y'all remember that? They say every freshman come back with those 15 pounds. Well, COVID did that to us also. We got the COVID 15, you might say. Many of us use food as a coping mechanism, right? And that's not a positive coping strategy to use, because we can't afford to get obese, overweight, right? We have higher levels, because those health disparities made us hesitant about the vaccine as well. They talked about if you have pre-existing conditions, be careful, But diabetes, hypertension, heart disease, those are some big factors in our community. So we have to find ways to deal with that aspect of health also, where we can do some exercising, right? How about the churches get some on our land, get some tracks, and some of them have them, get some tracks and some weight, some exercise rooms in there, and take those classes, because that's going to tap into the mind, body, spirit aspect, because that's what we have to do. We can't, the drinking, the substance abuse, if that was going on, how about the church open the doors to Narcotics Anonymous and Alcoholics Anonymous meeting? Those 12-step programs have been very effective, in a lot of instances. And there are some churches that are doing things that seem to be radical, but it's really not radical. It's community outreach. It's reaching out to your people to save our people.
Dr. Pamela, there's someone that's going to hear this, whether it's today, next week, next month, and there's someone listening right now that is dealing with something, that they're dealing with something. Would you speak? Because it could be a bill that needs to be paid, that's suppressed. It could be a problem with a child. It could be a health issue that we don't want to admit that we have, because we don't have the proper health care that we need to deal with this issue. So people are burdened down because we really didn't prepare for this, although we all knew that the time would come when we would have needs that we cannot handle by ourselves. Speak to that person, because I think it does first. They must have a change of mind to seek the help that they need. We are, Robert and I, always talk about asking, seeking, and knocking. And for many people, that's too big of a step, because I'm going to be admitting that I'm not enough. Well, guess what? You're not. I'm not enough. I need to hear from a Dr. Pamela. I need I need to have a Robert Henderson as a friend. I need to, I need to have family. I need to have neighbors. And for those of us who think that we're all right, guess what? There's someone that may need you, as you say, to sit and listen, and then to try and do something. So speak to that, if you will.
First off, when you're talking about worry, right, and fear, and the tangible things like the bills being paid, we know that, yes, we are strapped. The gas prices are going up, and the cost of living is going up, and people don't have a living wage, right? They don't have enough. I have some real radical ideas that we can't put into place today, but we can in the future. But just know that the Association of Black Psychologists is here. Some of us take insurance. You might not have insurance, but many of us understand, and we work Monday through Saturday seeing clients. Some of my friends have clients at 11 o'clock at night, because that client's on the West Coast. I mean, so we're working. We're committed to this work. So I'm going to leave, but when we end, I'm going to leave the South Florida chapter email, and I'm going to leave the website information for the national chapter. Depending on where you are in this country or in this world, reach out to us. There's so many Black psychologists who will take sliding scales, fees. We understand that, because again, that's one of the things that came out of the findings from the national chapter, the needs assessment, is that a lot of people said they didn't have the resources to get that support that they needed. And I don't ever want to hear that our people are out there in need and don't have the resources. We have the resources. We might have to pool them in sometimes, but I know if you're talking about the Association of Black Psychologists, we will get you the support that you need.
Good.
So you're never alone. As far as this African word, that is my philosophy. And it can't, Desmond Tutu and Nelson Mandela did the Truth and Reconciliation process after so-called apartheid ended. And
so-called.
yeah. And they used this philosophy called Ubuntu, UBUNTU. You may have heard of Ubuntu before. It means I am because you are, and because you are, therefore I am, right? It's like our homies would say that I am my brother and sister's keeper.
Amen.
Because when I look in your eyes, James, and when I look into your eyes, Robert, I see myself. I don't exist if you don't exist. So that's the philosophy that we got to start spreading out to our communities and teaching that. My existence is connected intricately to your existence. I don't exist without you.
I
So I
love
can
that.
be comfortable living and knowing that you're in pain.
Oh.
I'm in pain. As African spiritual people, we're empaths. We feel each other's energy. So you know, when we saw that George Floyd thing, that just went through us. It
Yes.
went through us because it was like, oh my God, that's happening to me.
Yes.
That's happening to me. So wherever you are, if you're out there and you're in pain, reach out to me. I will find the time to get you to the right resources. And they're not just all psychologists. Like at Barry, we have a master's program where you can be licensed as a counselor at the master's level. So we also not just PhDs, but we have licensed counselors, mental health professionals also that can support you, right? I mean, just reach out.
Let me ask
Just
you a
Well,
reach
question.
out
Let me
and,
ask you a question.
and we'll reach back.
go ahead,
Doc, let me,
Rob.
let me ask a question regarding coping.
Yes.
Yes, regarding coping. You know, I know that anxiety is on the rise, people coping with all type of mental illness and problems, depression. And I know that substance abuse, like drugs, is one of the things that people use, or alcohol. You know, I notice in a lot of poor countries that sex and babies, a lot of poor people have. Let me ask you a question. Is sex right up there with as part of a coping mechanism? Can it be looked at that? In other words, how people will turn to drugs because people want to feel good, drugs or alcohol or sex, because it seems like it's even on the rise more. Is that something going
Yeah,
on
well,
mentally?
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, we have sex addicts. We have people who want to have relief. They
Yeah,
want relief in any way, shape, or
people
form.
do.
But remember, yeah, that's temporary, right? It's temporary, and what it does is it just leads to addictive behavior, where that sex can lead to the drugs, right? Because you might have to start selling yourself if it gets that bad that you got to have the drugs. I mean, because that happens a lot for us. Also, is that you know sex trafficking, sex workers, all of that is. I mean, you all were talking about Vegas, and that's the sex capital of the world as far as the number of people of young girls and women that's been trafficked out of Las Vegas. That's where it's going on. So really the main point that I want us to get on the same page with is that we have to start to reverse the cycle of how we're being defined, right? We cannot continue to play out of somebody else's playbook when that playbook blocks the spirit, because that's what alcohol does, that's what drugs does, that's what sex or sex addiction does. It's blocking your spirit, and if your spirit can't be awakened, then you cannot move forward to be successful and have wellness in your life, in your family, in your community. Because some of the other findings were that there was an uptick in, of course, intimate partner violence in the homes. Everybody was at home at the same time. So you have a mental, emotional, physical abuse going on with partners, but also with children. We're talking like our future are the children, Our ancestors always had ancestors were out in the fields thinking about us. We were on our mind. When they were singing and humming, they were visualizing that freedom. They were visualizing us. It's time for us to start visualizing our children and stop thinking that everything has to be material and tangible to feel good. Tap into the spirit.
Mm.
Tap into talking to your ancestors, asking them to guide you and give you power. Let's do one. Let's do an exercise. Close your eyes with me for a moment.
Okay.
Let's close our eyes. If you're with us here, if you're sitting now or later, close your eyes. Sit up straight. Let's take a deep breath in. Hold it. Blow it out. Do it again. Let's breathe in love. Let's breathe out fear. Let's breathe in peace. And breathe out discord. One more breath. Ashe. Did that get y'all high?
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
That's
man.
it. That's the beginning of tapping into the spirit. 5 minutes a day, closing your eyes, bringing in the positive, letting out the negative. That's a part of awakening the spirit. These are the type of things that we do. We do emotional emancipation healing circles. One of our colleagues led the work on that, where we get together as a group of Black folk and we talk about our issues. One, we did it at Barry off the film. Dr. Cheryl Grills is one of the past presidents of ABSI, and she led the way for the emotional emancipation healing circles. And so we showed a film called Dark Girls. I don't know if you've seen Dark Girls. It's 2 parts, and it's really talking about this color problem that we have with each other, light skin, dark skin, and so on and so forth. We looked at that, and then we shared our experiences with Blackness and what it was. And when did we realize we were Black? When did somebody call you out your name? And it was very cathartic for us to get together and talk about, because on a daily basis, like I said, that other pandemic of structural racism, that's really killing us. That's what's giving us high blood pressure and diabetes and the part of it, that coping stuff, because we were having these problems before the pandemic, with these, daily microaggressions. You turn on the TV and you see something negative about Black folk, and you hear this slight that they make about Black people. I was looking at a show and somebody a white person pulled out a doll, and it's one of my favorite actresses, Lily Tomlin, pulled out. She said, "Let me get my voodoo doll." And for them to still be holding on to that as if voodoo is something negative, when that's a part of our Pan-Africanness, voodoo comes out of the Yoruba culture, what comes out of Africa, which our ancestors were creative enough to say, okay, we don't all speak the same language, but we all know spirit. And they came up with this way to be, like you say, consistent, resistant, resilient, still here.
Ooh, but sister, you've been saying so much today, but one word I keep hearing, the we and the group. And believe me, we have been so indoctrinated that we don't think we don't think group economics. We don't even think community anymore. I have spoken so many times. And as a matter of fact, I was on some panel. They asked me to come code enforcement in a community that I love. Had paid about $94,000 to have someone come in to ask people who look like me, what do we want in our community? And I asked the gentleman, I said, could I exchange a seat with you? Can you come sit where I am? And I sit where you are. And I ask you the same question you just asked me. I said, do you know that there was a time everything that I would need was where I lived? And now it's non-existent because we weren't taught understanding money. We weren't taught Black group economics. Dr. Claude Anderson, I've interviewed him a number of times from some of his books, and he's saying that we have gotten to the point that hey, we have sort of negated our own growth because we wanted. Okay.
Well, I don't want to say that. I want to say we gotta get the timeline.
All right.
We gotta get the timeline right. Our growth was taken from us.
But Dr. Pam, That's why I'm getting to the fact we've got to break that chain and stop believing that we can't, and stop. One of my pet peeves is my grandmother showed me as a third grader that I didn't have to beg no man, black man, white man, Asian. I didn't have to beg anybody, and I could earn money if that was what I wanted, and we could earn a living. So and we don't teach our children that. We think that the only way that we can make it in this country is to get a job. I haven't had a job since 1969, and I swear I don't plan to ever have another job. I believe that I was created by a creator and created in the creator's image. So if it, whatever you want to call it, if it was a creator and I am a creator and I'm not creating, I am out of order. Somebody help me. And
we are out of order. We are out of order. We suffer from spiritual poverty. That's what it is. We suffer from spirit. We're out of order because we're suffering from spiritual poverty. Let me tell you, when we grew up in community, we had a sense of community. But understand that once we decided that we wanted to integrate, now we wanted to integrate because we wanted equality. However, once we decided to do that, we flew out of our communities. And once we flew out of our communities, we never sang Colford. We never went back to fetch it.
Well,
right? We never went back and got our brothers and sisters that were still living there. So that sense of community, if we think about it, each generation we get further and further away from our spiritual selves because, for one thing, we've lost respect for our elders, right?
But
you have to look at the parallel between the timing of when that started to happen and when integration happened. And look at what's happening today, right? When we're living in an integrated system, but again, we are basing our reality on somebody else's definition. So as long as we do that, we're going to seem like we're stuck. What we have to do is, remember the good old times, but we got to teach our children the way they should go. We have to go back into those communities that we left behind and stay there. And basically, think about one more thing. I'm going to say this real quick. I want us to remember this. We have to start Saturday schools all over this country for our children. We have to have Saturday schools for my little ones on up where they learn about who they are. Because we came from the continent where we did know how to manage money. Mansa Musa was the richest man that ever lived, walking around with all that gold over there in Mali, giving it away on his trips. So we used to know how to manage resources. It's just that, we got that amnesia. And we've been under this period of amnesia for 500 years. I want you to keep this in mind. Don't ever give up on us, right? Because for over 6,000 years that we know of in recorded history, we were living in our greatness.
Right.
And so 500 out of that 5,000 to 6,000 years is 10%. That's a blip on the radar. It feels heavier and it hurts badder to say, gosh, we had all this before. We knew all this before. What happened? We're living somebody else's definition.
That's what you said. We're out of order. Hey, doctor, but hey, James.
Yes.
My daughter, she got Heisey on fire.
Oh, I see. Oh, wait, Rob. Let me do this. Because June had put up our number. Doctor, before we give us that number that you were going to give us, and we're going to have someone post it up.
Is it a chat here?
Yes, there's a chat.
Okay,
we got it. Put your information in the chat. But go ahead, Robert.
But first, just call it out. If you just call it out, June can put it in there. Doctor, what's your contact information?
Okay, my contact information. You have my email.
Okay.
No, we want it for the chat.
Okay. Info. I'm gonna give you the email address for the Association of Black Psychology.
Okay, put it in the chat. You can put it in. She's gonna put it in, Rob. And
it's that's the South Florida chapter, and then the national chapter, I think it's just absci.org. Yeah,
I didn't see it come up in the. I didn't see it come up in the chat.
org. That'll take you to our national chapter, show you all the stuff that we're doing, and allow you to reach out for a therapist, mental health professional, for any type of support. Myself, I'm teaching Africana Studies at Barry. If you want to do some collaborative work with Barry and me, or if you want to do it through my LLC, just reach out to me. I do trainings, workshops, everything.
How do we do that? How do we reach out?
To reach out, you have my PAMM. Let me put it in the chat.
Yeah, put that in the chat so people around can get this information.
Okay.
You have a telephone number, put that in chat, because what you're saying is spot on. We are out of order, and that's why we're having these problems, because we're out of order. We're not in alignment where we're supposed to be. That's why, and this country knows that. It keeps perpetuating this lie and this falsehood to keep us down. Now, the thing about it is, I really got chills when you said, because I like solution oriented, when you said Saturday schools, because we know, especially in Florida, we got a governor here that's just trying to just take us back. So we're going to have to take control. Saturday school, by learning about who we are.
Yes.
That should be in all the churches. That should be in the centers.
That's what I'm talking about.
Because we can learn more about math, about science, about ourselves, about our holistic, the spirit part of us.
Yes.
All of that. But we cannot do it in their educational system, because their educational system is designed to keep us in bondage and not know who we are.
Nobody turn me around.
Turn me around.
I'm calling for Saturday schools all over the country.
Yeah,
whoever wants to support it, reach out to me. Start it in your own communities. Reach out to us. We're working. We have curriculums. We have the knowledge. We doing Black History Month. We did a 4-part series with South Florida People of Color, which is an organization here in South Florida that does racial healing work, and I'm a member of. We did a 4-part series called a Kabbalah. For some reason, I can't type anything else in the chat. I don't know what's going on. But a Kabbalah.
If you call your number, and June will put it in there, or Heisey put it in. What's your telephone number? We can reach you.
Or whatever the email is.
The email. She has the email. The PAMMAH.
Hold on, wait a minute. Let's go slow with it. Go again now.
She has it because she emailed me yesterday.
Hyacinth did?
Yes, she has my email.
Okay. Heisey, can you put it in there? I don't know if she can. I don't know if she's in the position. I don't know where she's at right now, but she's on fire and she's shouting like she in church. So I'll
spell it though. If you can do it, PAMMAH64@gmail.com.
Okay, let me repeat it. It's P as in Paul, A as in Apple, M as in Mary, M as in Mary, A as in Apple, H as in Hall, 64@gmail.com.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, that is your direct email. Hey, James, we're going to have this for this Saturday school, James. I'm thinking about HT Saturday school.
Woo! Rob, I was already there.
I was there.
Yeah.
Hey, Miss Pamela.
Yes, let's do it.
Hey, believe me, we are doing some things.
Yeah.
And I know people don't believe us when we come and we present ourselves in such a way that it doesn't seem like it's all about money,
Right.
Hey, but they don't understand what must come before the money. You
Right.
must serve before
Right.
the money.
Yes.
See, money is a byproduct of service.
Yes.
So
Exactly. Right.
and I know it's hard for people to get that because they don't want to give, they want to grab.
Right.
We've been taught, hey, grab all you can, and as they say, can all you grab or can all you get or whatever.
Yeah.
Hey, this is crazy. So that's why I said we've got. I remember when Rob was listening, and I had who did I have? I had on Robert. Pelosi. You speak of the House. I had Speaker Pelosi on the air a couple years ago, or whatever, and I said the fact that I said our country needs a heart transplant. And so, Robert, going back to the spiritual now,
Yep.
because if you bring up the word God, Father God, Lord Jesus, Holy Spirit, all of a sudden, boom, you're turning people off. But when you use the word heart, it does deal with as I think Keith Allen posted up, the powers within us, that we've got to understand that greater that is within us.
Yes.
Napoleon Hill called it infinite intelligence. Everybody can call it whatever they want, but we have it. And if we will tap into it, it will change first our thinking.
Yes.
Which changes when we change that thought, all of a sudden our subconsciousness will speak to that. And all of a sudden but we have to be consistent and persistent.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And we got to reach out. See, it is a process. If they're not going to do it for us in our schools, we used to have my father went to a little church front school. I homeschooled for a while. The homeschool, if they're not going to do it to us, we have an obligation to ourselves to teach the child the way it should go.
Let's do it.
Come on.
All right. I'll say.
And we're going to sing. This. Hey, Dr. Hall. Boy, this is in divine order, ain't it, James?
Isn't it?
But hey, Rob, but I call because see there, and that's the other thing. I want to before we go, I want people to know it's like The Amazing Race, and I'm not promoting a TV show, but there's someone waiting for you, and they don't know it's you that's coming, and you don't know it's them that's waiting. But if you would just pursue, if you would ask, seek, and knock, and for those of us who have, we don't have so that I can say, look at me. We have so that we can give, because if we weren't giving, we wouldn't have anything. If we had not been given something, we would have nothing to give. So we have to use that we have been given to be a blessing to others.
Right.
And if we do that, I promise, I dare you to try it. Not only are you going to feel great about yourself, but believe me, you cannot give and not get more if you're giving. If you're giving in the right spirit. If you're giving in the right spirit.
So
planting your seeds on fertile ground.
Okay, we gotta go.
Right. Looking forward to getting with you all to keep moving this thing forward.
Well, we got some bigger things coming, Dr. Hall. Just stand by. I mean, and I'm not talking about I'm not even talking about next month. It better happen. Well, next month would be in a day or two, I guess.
Yeah,
so I am talking
in a few days.
Yeah, right. So, but we are here to support, and we want to use our platform strictly for service to the community. I mean, hey, that's what we're going to do.
Hey, and we're talking about having this discussion worldwide, Doctor.
Absolutely. Yes.
Worldwide. We're going to get this Saturday school going. We're talking about worldwide.
Yes. I'm already reaching out. Right. They're reaching back.
That's what I was going to say. Robert, she told me right off the bat. She said, hey, can I link other people in? And we have people that want to come in, that want to be a part, that want to share, and people who truly do care about making this, as I said, because that was my theme for this year, Dr. Pam. I'm living my abundant life from now on. And I'm gonna live to be 120.
Yes. Living in abundance.
I love it. I love it because we know the system in America is not set up for people of color to bring out. You know, Doctor, I once heard someone say, "Why do they hate us if, in fact, what they say they don't need nothing from us?" That's amazing. That's because they know who we are.
Right. Yeah. Well, I think in time, they won't continue to deny the truth, because we do have people who lack the melanin pigmentation that are out there working hard too, because they have that role to play as well. They have duties and obligations as well to correct the ship that was stirred off course. And they're doing the work too. Like with South Florida people, I have a group of white colleagues in there that started their own. I forget the name of it, but they're working with white folk got to solve their own problems when it comes to, like you said, why do they hate us, right? So that they can say, okay, listen, this is absurd, this is crazy. We have to, like you said, this is a matter of the heart.
Yes.
Well, Doctor, I want you, we usually close out with something spiritual. So today, I want you to honor us. And Rob, unless you there's something else. Well, Rob, you got to remind everybody to contact you at contact, of course, the Henderson Financial Group, and then we'll have Dr. Pamela close us out with
Yes.
something spiritual.
Yes. Please contact the Henderson Financial Group. And telephone number is 305-825-1444. We're a total full service financial planning company. We've been doing this for over 30 years, and we definitely are spiritual base.
Yes. Great.
We're going to hook you up with Doctor and all other people who we know, from tax strategists to man, we just had a client whose husband died, and Cobra was charging her. She's single. Cobra was charging her for insurance $700 a month. James, I put her on to Donna. Donna got her a full service health insurance plan, not for $700, but for $20 because she qualified for the Obamacare affordable health care benefits. Boom.
That's what we,
Oh,
Dr. Pam. That's what we've been doing with this platform, Doctor. And I'm so glad you chose to come on with us.
yes, I am too. And I'm gonna be reaching out to you, brother. Also, listen, I'm gonna keep it light because he just said it. You just said it, James T. We all saying it. It's just a proverb, African proverb that says, "Many hands make light work."
Amen.
Right? So many hands. Let's bring all these hands together, make the work light. Right? Many hands make light work. I give thanks for this moment, and I look forward to the future.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Blessings.
All right. Blessings.
Blessing. And you guys be careful, okay? James, that was wonderful. That's fantastic. You know, she's part of the team now, right? You know that?
Rob, I don't know if we're off air yet. Are we?
No, we still. Yeah,
we still on. We still on. Okay, fantastic. Yeah, I really do appreciate her. When I called and reached out to her, and I got to say thanks to Maestro Lindsay Powell. He was the one who introduced me to Dr. He and Missy Bailey at the station. And when we many hands, and when we meet these people, Rob, when it comes together like this, and we are of, like you said, like minds, like spirits, and willing to serve and to give, it's wonderful and beautiful. And to everybody, we want to thank everybody for viewing. Please share it. Please share so that others can be made aware and encouraged that there are people out there that's willing to help. And as she said, the Black psychologist for Dade and Broward counties, and throughout the country, reach out. Reach out, and each of us, Rob, can do something to help someone else. Here was what I had, Rob, that I wanted to share. A friendly alliance with one or more persons who will encourage one to follow through with both plan and purpose.
Wow, that's good stuff.
I guess that's the spirit telling. Yes. All right, man. Hey, thank you so much.
Many hands. Hey, I still like your prayer. Knock us out right now.
Father God, we thank you. We really do. We thank you for this opportunity. We thank you for Dr. Pamela Hall, who came on today. And we thank you for those who are listening, whether it is today or at a later date. We pray that something was said or will be heard by those who will listen whenever they hear it, that they will be moved first to recognize that, as Keith Allen would say, the greater is within us. And we thank you for putting it there. Now give us the wisdom, knowledge, understanding, and that desire to seek that greater that is within us so that we can change our minds, change our thoughts, and change what we're doing so that it will glorify you in our being a blessing to others. We thank you. We thank you. We thank you. And so it is. And so it is. And so it is. And so, love you, brother.
I love you, brother. Hey, any hands to make the weight lighter.
To work. Oh, come on. Hey,
Get to
that's
work.
all we got to do. That's all we got to do, Rob.
Stay on to it.
Hey, and let's reach out. There's somebody that you can call today. You can bless today. Do it. I dare you. I dare. That's my challenge. Let's find someone today that we can bless, Rob.
We got it. We got it. We go. Hey, we got to go, man. I got another appointment. Love you.
Hey, bye bye.